So check for space. So this one is, what we're saying here is, if they are feeling under pressure, whether that be time or physical, if they feel like they haven't got any spare room, any margins around them in any way, they're going to feel stressed. And when they feel stressed, like all of us, the way they assimilate information won't be as effective. It'll be more difficult for them to actually take information in and use it in a way that's efficient and has a positive outcome. So if we just chuck information at them when they feel already under pressure, then we're just making things worse, because they've got them more to ruminate on. And we've got this mind that thinks really deeply and very hard. So we don't always want to just load more information or more tasking on them when they're in that mode. So we want to hold back what we need to. Give them the bigger picture, as well as delivering logical, linear information that's got good language, that is formed from good language. We want to give them context on the highest level as well, because they tend to need that. They need to orientate themselves in the scenario and think supportive. They are very other focused, and what they may do as well, what I've experienced with diplomats, is they'd rather make you feel like they're onto it, happy with what you said, they're at ease with what you said, they've taken it all in, and say, oh, actually, you've annoyed me there, and I don't actually understand what you said. So then you'll leave the conversation, you think that you've got across what you need to get across, and then things don't move forward, or they can't move forward. And they'll go away and they'll then think about that, and then they'll come back and go, yeah, I'm not happy, it wasn't right. So be sure, be supportive, be caring, be willing to give them time to just have a moment to think that whatever you said through, and then ask them, are you sure you're okay with that? And give them the space and say, I'd rather we spend 5 more minutes talking this through and getting you feeling good than you go away and worry, like, are you okay with that information? Don't just say you're okay, like, because they'll kind of internalize, and we got to give them a real supportive shoulder and spatial feeling so that they can then share where they're at and think a little bit out loud almost. Language that will resonate. We want to remind them, we want to talk to the joy, we want to talk to completion in the workplace. Completion is a good word. They commit to tasks, and we want to talk to like, you have time to do this task, to get it complete and to be successful. That these are what they want to create for themselves, and they won't commit to something they don't feel they can achieve what I've just described. So we need to make sure they feel that's possible. So really important in that professional setting to communicate that where possible. They like to feel valued. They're one of their love languages. It's really high up the order. I think it's second or third, is conveying their value to the group, how they're contributing. That'll make a really big difference to their feelings and their flow. Good. Yep. So space and time is massive. So that's our diplomat, the bison, the buffalo that wants to roam across the plains and just graze at their own leisure. If you think about everything I've just described, you can see how well that could fit together, or how many parallels there could be in that spirit animal. Serotonin, they're looking for joy. Good. Then we have their opposite, the activator. So these guys, yeah, we almost want to push them a little bit. If they're in a fully anxious mode, maybe not. But if they're aroused and they're ready to go, and they're hungry for work, involvement, contribution, whatever it is you want to describe it as, then we can afford to challenge them and time frame them and actually push them to do things quickly. And often that will actually get you a result with an activator. However, when we're communicating with them, we have to still be mindful of certain things, because they've got a rebellious mind, and they're pretty astute when it comes to people. They understand implicit information as mesomorphs. Connectors are the same in this. So mind your tone and your intent. If they think you're not being authentic, they'll stew on that, think it through, and it won't be a positive. You won't have that positive influence. Be authentic with them. Tell them the need. Try and keep. They wear their heart on their sleeve, and they feel at ease when you do with them. If that makes sense, and it does. If you can get them to trust you and you can create trust, then they'll perform really well. Be authentic. Yep, said that. Keep the pace. So you notice I've slightly raised my energy and pace just to talk through the activator, because the activator can want detail or clarity, so they know how to win essentially, or how to get the task done. But they don't want any more than they need, and they don't want it to take too long. So we want to give them detail and move on. Enthusiasm, body language, imagery, positivity, sort of make them feel it's a big deal. Like I remember one of my tasks last year was the endorsement group of death. The people who weren't going to get endorsed. Chris, you've got to call these people up. They're never going to make it. And I had to laugh because I knew exactly how I was being played by my bosses. They were like, we've got to make this a big deal. Make it seem like the only, like if he doesn't do this, it's a major, major problem for these people. And give it an exciting name, and all of a sudden they'll perform. And even with the awareness, it still worked. You know, it still got me. Yeah, God, I've got to get this done. So that's how an activator likes to be tasked. They like to feel like there's like they've got skin in the game and there's something on the line. Monitor your tempo. Don't slow down too much. Diplomats, guardians, more diplomats. Don't slow an activator down. You will trigger them. And like, don't try and bring your language up to a pace that's more becoming for them, and you'll get more out of them, which is hard. And the same has to be said for the activator. As someone who's coached a lot of diplomats, I've had to really work on giving them time to think and just being patient in moments. Right. Language that will resonate, challenge, excitement, epic, adventure, legend, new. You can be the first to achieve this. You're at the frontier. If you can get them thinking and make them feel like they're at the lead, they're going to feel good about it and perform. That's them in flow. And remember, they like chaos. So don't be frightened to leave it to last minute to ask them to do something. Like it can be quite useful if the task is right in their genius, to actually spring it on them and have them perform in that way, which can sound counterintuitive. Most of us believe we want time, but the activator will tell you, oh God, I don't know if I can do it. And then all of a sudden they're off and they're doing it. And it's quite cool. Yep. So just some things to think about when communicating with an activator. Crusaders. So we're moving around the wheel now to our ecto-meso. So there's a bit of the energy of the activator and some of the energy of the data heavy ectomorphic natures, like the sensor, the diplomat's part of the ecto as well. So these guys, again, if you remember back to their motivation comes from data. Now, what does that tell us about them is that they like information and they like specific, precise information. So when we're communicating with our Crusaders, prioritize specificity, linearity, and efficiency. Literally say to yourself, how many words can I say this sentence in? And if I haven't said it in as few words as possible, I'm letting the Crusader down. Think of it like that. Because they're always on task, right? Dopamine led. I want to achieve. The horse with the blinkers on, running for the finish line. This is our Crusader. So if we give them too much information or distracting information that it will trigger them and make them feel frustrated, and then they're out of flow. Keep them in flow. So mind your tone and intent. They're looking for credibility here. If you're lacking confidence in a conversation with a Crusader, you've lost them and you won't get them back easily. If you hold confidence, you'll have them and they'll work with you really well and support you or listen to what you got to say really well. But you have to make them the expert. You don't coach Crusaders. Don't try and too much tell them what to do. If you're someone who naturally holds a leadership energy, like a strong leadership energy, you'll get away with it. But if you're someone who needs to think and needs time and is perhaps a little less direct, they'll eat you alive if you're not careful. You need to make sure that you converse with them about how you get things done and how they get things done and make it their choice. Because if you try and dominate them, they'll recoil and feel frustrated and they'll feel out of flow. They don't want to feel that way. They like to be in charge. That's just their nature. So we don't instruct, we suggest. When we're coaching Crusaders, we get them to set their own goals. If you think about a work setting, leadership often has a coaching element. It's like, how can I get the most out of my people? So, and when I say leadership, I mean, everybody, all of you are leaders in your workplace, whether you know it or not. Every day is an opportunity to allow someone to stay in flow or knock them out of it. Every interaction is, can I make this day better, easier, fluid, or am I going to be a hamstring on my own success by stopping the Crusader staying in flow, for example? So if we can think, right, what lead can I take in this conversation or this interaction that's going to allow me to influence them by reducing stress, increasing productivity and flow. Boom, we're on to a winner. So how do we do that? Lean comms. Provide purpose, the why. Why am I doing this thing? Why do you want me to come up with a solution? And why does it need to be focused in this way? If you provide them with the why, they'll feel good and they'll act and they'll go towards it. Transactional, they respond to return on investment. What am I going to get out of this? If I do this for you, what am I going to get out of it? And it could just be dopamine, might be enough in some cases, or it could be money, or it could be achievement. It could be ticking the box. But they like to know what their return on investment is. Cool. Achievement. Always talk about, do you reckon you can get this done? Do you reckon you can achieve that by 12 p.m.? Or what time could you achieve this by? Is probably a better way of putting it. Efficient. Leave out any language that's flowery. Big problem for me. I love long words. And my Crusaders laugh at me all the time. Because I tend to include as much language as possible in the way I talk. But so it's something I have to work on. So when I write a Skype message, I'll often write it 5 times before I send it and change the structure so that it's right for my Crusader colleagues. Be definitive. Don't give them a suggestion or a possible set of answers. Ask them their opinion or tell them what needs to be done. Don't go anywhere in the middle. It needs to be clear. Data, give them the data as to why this will work, or give them the information as to why this will work, and give them that why, that all important why of what they're doing, to why they're doing something. Good. So that's our Crusader. Oh, then the connector. So this isn't their opposite, but this is someone who can be very different to the Crusader, because they actually want you to talk to them emotionally and friendly. They want you to connect. They want you to connect. So if you've got a connector in the workplace, there's not many that we have onboarded yet at William Pickering Drive, but those who we have and those I have spoke to are struggling to commit to this because they feel frantic. Now, the connector is mind first, number one, then social. So when their mind is full, they withdraw. This is their kryptonite. We need to bring them back to the table. So in your place that's full of stress, and in terms of communication for stress management, we need to be super positive with our connectors once we've identified them and those we've identified. And we want to make them feel like they're really part of the team, you know, like they really like muck in with them and support them and get them to support others. That's what makes them tick. Then we've got excitement. They like variety, much like the Activator. They like to feel things are fun and energetic, but they're not necessarily drawn to the challenge as much. They're more drawn to togetherness and doing things together and assailing the challenge together. They don't want it to necessarily be like, oh, I don't think you can do this. That won't be good for a connector. An Activator will be like, well, yeah, I can. You watch me. Whereas a connector will be like, oh, maybe not. I don't. Yeah, you could be right. So we don't want to talk in that way. Limit the details. Focus on the outcome and the feeling. They want to know where they're going to and how it's going to feel in the moment, more than perhaps all of the data that's going to get them there. And they like to solve problems. So it's almost better to give them some rope of how they do a task. They don't necessarily need to be micromanaged. Like they want some freedom in how they approach things. Let them solve that problem on their own. Even if you give them the idea, they'll usually reinvent it as their own anyway and tell you they come up with it. So it's pointless giving them the idea. It's better to let them deal with it their own way. Make it special. So make them feel special. Make them feel like you know, put your attention on them for 5 minutes, an hour to get more out of them, and communicate with them. Be very present. They're present. They want you to be present. And this is really important. And if we can provide that, we'll get their commitment. Sweet. And actually reward them with praise in an extrovert fashion in a social scenario. They want that. They feel good about that. These people are often drawn to Instagram. They're often drawn to pictorial representations of their success and public adulation, which can sound a bit of a turn off for some people, but it's how they are wired. Try not to judge it. It's such a fantastic trait, because they care so much about what other people think, which some people are like, you would find, oh, that's a bit of a worry, but ultimately this is why they're so good at getting a group over here and a group over here and bringing them together, because they want to get on and connect with everyone. Like that's what their genius is. And this is why those traits that that can seem limiting or a little dangerous for a connector, they're absolutely imperative, like for them to be a connector, if that makes sense. And the same can be said for all of our types. They've all got this strength that they need to lean into, but it's usually a weakness at the same time. This is the paradox. Then we got our guardian. Our guardian, keep it practical. The guardian loves information and a big picture. They want to be able to build a picture in their mind of what's going on, but they don't want anything that's unnecessary or hypothetical per se. They prefer to deal with the foundational information, the cold, hard facts, if you will. They are social, but there's a split with our guardians. We tend to find that the closer to connector, the more emotional and social they are. Towards diplomat, the more it's more practical strain. And like, what can I do for you? Spend time together. That's like, let's eat together, let's do together, let's be together, but not necessarily, it has a practical element to it. Let them share. They'll want to talk to you and they want to ask you about you. Really important. If you go into your guardians at work and you shut off a conversation that's about your family because you're like, why are we talking about this? I'm worried about you, or I want this for you. But that's their way of connecting. It's it's the information they value. They value what's going on with their tribe and what's going on with yours. So if they're asking about that, they need it. Give them that information, and it's a good thing, and it will help you have good rapport and communication with them. More is more. So yeah, support. What we're talking about here is they need to feel that someone's looking out for them, whether they know it or not. They'll often try and push that away and put you first, or like look after others first. But if we can make their biology feel supported, their body will respond really well and their stress will drop. And that is, time is a currency with guardians, because usually all their time is for other people. So when we communicate, give them time. With connectors, we talk about presence. With guardians, we talk about time, because we don't want to rush that interaction and leave them feeling like they've not really been given the time, because that'll make them feel devalued. Diplomats and guardians share that need for valuing. And we want to make sure they feel that. And they value time, so they value ours, if that makes sense. Think alpha wave, same again for diplomat, a lot of overlap here. The alpha wave is the relaxed learning. I'm on receive, I'm chilled out, I'm in gratitude. I'm in resonance with myself, in coherence. This is a very relaxed mind and body, so we want to talk to them in a relaxed fashion. Check in on them before they start checking how you are. Let them feel cared for. Really important. Really important. There's a lot of guardians as well in your workplace, so this is good information. Good. Sensors, okay. Quite different to our connectors and our guardians. They want data, but they want the absolute, they want a lot, but they want what's pertinent and only pertinent. They also need the top end and the middle and the bottom and more of the precise stuff, more of the small micro stuff. But they need a context so they know why they're moving a task in a certain direction to a greater purpose. This is that purpose piece again, but it's a bit more linear, the way that you need to present the information, or not linear, more graduated, more fine. There's more fine information they need. Whereas the Crusader, you can give them a why, give them a big picture, give them their task, and they'll focus. Whereas for sensors, it's about the information at first, because what they're trying to do is create certainty in their outputs. They want to know that where they're putting their energy is exactly where it needs to be, and certainty is everything. So we've got to provide them with certainty. So how could that affect our comms? Well, massively. We need to talk to the data again, and provide certainty through information. Say, this is what you need to do. This is why you need to do it. This is when it needs to be done by. If you can't achieve that, you need to be in conversation with me once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever the time frame is, dependent to the task. We need to be specific like that, because that lets them go. They feel really safe when they have that specificity. Is this making sense, guys? Can you see the difference between the health types, and how by knowing this, we can really dial in and get them to and communicate with them more effectively. can everyone see how that can play out in a professional session? Can you think of ways or scenarios where you've perhaps communicated in a way that hasn't been ideal for the person opposite you for any number of reasons, and how you could modulate that in the future to do better? Good. So yeah, finally with our sensor, efficiency. Give them what they need and no more. Provide the purpose, and it's linear in the presentation. Now, I didn't spend too long on there because we're going to skip this slide because we don't have any sensors yet measured up. So we're not going to focus on it too much. But bad comms equals stress. We already have a lot of stress in your workplace. Stress means we're out of flow. I guarantee you, whether you know it or not, your interactions with your fellow humans at work are either feeding you in terms of recovery and promoting flow and efficiency and an energetic coherence in your body, or they're knocking you out of flow and making you underperform and frustrating you. So we need to really nail this as teams and find ways to get people to communicate better, because that's one little thing that we can do to stop stress building even further in the workplace. Good. Okay, that's our slides for today. Wicked. Nathan, have we got some breakout rooms? Where is he? I've lost him. There he is. Muted, mate.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
There he is.
Yes, they are coming.
Cool. So what we're going to do
now?
Yeah, what we're going to do now, teams, is we're going to split down into a couple of groups, and you're going to have a couple of coaches just facilitating, and they are going to basically try and draw out of you some behavioral changes around stress management. And we're going to see how that goes. And then we're going to go back into another breakout, and we're going to talk about communication only. This is your opportunity to get to know our coaches a little bit too. And the main purpose of today is just to keep that stress management conversation growing and consolidating that, and looking at how you can apply the principles practically day by day. Sweet. So we'll go for 10 minutes in the first breakout, team, and then we'll come back, and then we'll do another 10.
One moment, please, caller.
Ish. Yep, no worries. Cool. So what we're thinking, everybody's got their phone handy. Get into your Shay app, or if you're on your laptops, your PCs, feel free to do it on your PCs. But what we're looking for here is for you guys to have your app open or your desktop portal open, and to find a statement that relates to your mind or your social that is going to affect your, no, tell a lie, that's not right. We're going to talk to statements from your top 2 priorities. So diplomats, that's place and career or talent, genius. Guardians, that is, what is that? Social. And anyone got any, what's second for guardians?
Food.
Food. Yes, boom. Good, yeah, so food. So we got that. And then who else have we got in the room today? Have we got any other health types in the room? Have we got any activators? No?
No, but we do have a Crusader.
We have a Crusader, cool. So Crusaders, top 2, mind and genius. Good.
Cool. Right. We're ready. For those of you who obviously don't get allocated to a room, you will stay in the main room with myself, Chris, and Diana, and that'll be mainly all of you management-based people.
We need microphones on for this bit, team, so if you could get mics on at least, and cameras would be preferable as well.
We've got one more person popping in.
Yeah, she can
just arrived.
Yeah.
All right, team, here we go. Have fun.
So those of us who are left in here, obviously, Cindy, you've got a house full in there, and we've got Joanne, good stuff. And hopefully, hey, Steph, good to see you. Hopefully Denise can chime in as well. And obviously, Jared, I know that you'll be contributing. So is someone got an app open and does someone already have or has memorized one of the statements from your top 2 priorities? So who in the room is comfortable talking about number 1 or 2 priority and a statement that they've read that resonated and that they feel I could actually take action around this statement and find ways to behave or take action in my life that's going to actually help manage my stress in relation to this statement. Does that make sense? Or do you need an example? Will an example help?
Yeah.
Cool. So let me do this. I can tell you a statement about me. It's going to come from my genius. So in my genius statements, it says I may clash with leadership when I'm with existing authority when I'm working in roles in work. Now, I can say from experience that this has been a major problem for me in terms of, so an activator needs to express. Their communication style is open, extrovert, heart on sleeve. So if I feel things aren't going right or aren't being done right, or there's something being overlooked, or people aren't being treated correctly, or there's a cultural problem, for me, holding that in is problematic. It actually has a negative impact on my wellness. And when you combine that with a clash with leadership, I have a tendency to get frustrated with what I deem bad leadership. Now, I probably have no authority or right to make that judgment, but it is part of my biology. So I've wanted to express that in different roles throughout my life. And I was in the Air Force for 15 years, where expressing that kind of thing can be a little bit problematic. So what have I done to manage this? Firstly, I've always allowed myself to have social expression outlets with people I'm close to. I've been lucky enough to always have close, trusted friends who I can talk to this stuff about, who get the scenario. But now I actually actively seek that. Like I can't talk to my wife about work problems because she doesn't understand the context, and therefore she won't give me an informed response. So I need colleagues who I can converse with for that to be therapeutic. So that's something I create for myself. It's an action that I take. I have chats with those around me who know me well and who I trust, who won't be judgmental, because activators really hate judgment. And that allows me to just get that out of my head, get that out into the ether, and then immediately I feel cathartic, if you will. So that's a powerful thing that I've put into practice and embraced about myself, rather than I used to beat myself up about it, if I'm honest. Like I'd be like, oh God, I'm such a gobby, but like, why do I do this? Like I create problems for myself when I do so, and I feel at odds with certain people, and it's not comfortable for me because I'm simultaneously quite connectory. So I had to learn to manage it, and it's not been easy. But without a shadow of a doubt, PH360 has allowed me to be really aware of that and be at ease with myself in it, if that makes sense. So that's one example for me. So if you go into your apps and you look under the top priority, who have we got in the room? Like Steph, what's your health type, for example? And obviously Jared, you're a Diplo.
Guardian. No, he's a Guardian too.
Oh, Guardian, are you?
We're all Guardian, I think.
We're all
in this.
Guardians.
Wow. So, okay, cool. So what, have any of you read any statements? Maybe you've got a statement that you share. You probably have got a few that you share. So
I blame the fact I'm a Guardian for the fact I'm fat. Evidently.
Where is that statement? I couldn't find it.
I don't know, but I've been looking for a reason, and I thought it was because I hated exercise, but no, it's that.
yeah. Right. This is good though. This is good. So does a Guardian hate exercise, and is a Guardian, and are our Guardians fat? Sometimes when we're declaring based on social norms, like let's go by BMI scale, for example. The BMI scale is probably at least 3 points out when applied to Diplos and Guardians. So straight away, there's a cultural issue of making everybody average and saying, this is the average. This is how it works. And then when we talk about Guardians, this is a body that's a guardian, like it's the protector, it serves. So the mass, the size, the strength that comes from that is there to look after others. That's the point, right? So what's your number one priority?
Food.
Number two.
People?
Number one. Social. That's right. And in what way do you interact with social as Guardians? Have you figured that out? Like connectors, it's social connection. Guardians, it's slightly different. Social.
There's one on here that resonates with me. It's the I may generally be easygoing, patient and understanding, but I prefer to be around people I know well. That's me.
Yeah, that's right. Familiarity is is more comfortable. And I guess when we know with the Guardian that they like things to be grounded, foundational, like a solid energy that's you know, they don't want things to be over the top excitable. They're very resilient, so they can deal with more over the top than you'd expect. But ultimately, to them, they want things to be pretty chilled out. People who are new to your life, to your tribe, they offer an unknown, a chaotic factor that you have to wait to understand before you can say, oh, now they are familiar. They are family. They are familiar. And then when you feel that comfort, then you'll be in a much more at ease space with that individual. So yeah, that's a good one, Cindy. Thank you for that. Good. And that relates directly to your top priority, right? It's a social element of the Guardian that you're going to feel more at ease with those you know. Any others, ladies and gent? I think it's one gent. Yeah.
I might prefer to be around people who can be themselves instead of people that put on an act and they're hiding something. I do tend to look for people that are authentic.
Yeah, you do. That's, I think,
deal with people that are not authentic.
Yeah. There's always at least one Guardian mate in my life, always, no matter where I've been. And I always click with one Guardian really well because I wear my heart on my sleeve, and they forgive everything. So I can kind of gob off to them and they'll just laugh at me and go, shut up, you little idiot. Like, you know, but because I wear my heart on my sleeve, they know where they stand with me. And that's why we get a really great connection. And actually in our relationships course, the best parent for an activator is a Guardian as well, because there's that unconditional care and nurture, and that willingness to let them be open. They'd rather they be open than hide bits of themselves and sort of not express who they are. So it's really cool that you were aware of that. And you should know that it makes other people who are that way feel very at ease and very and appreciated almost as well, like in a way that they don't always get, if that makes sense. It's a really nice trait. Yeah.
I found one. I may strongly dislike people, and then just stop the rest. No, I may strongly dislike people who are secretive and unreliable, or who are always changing their plans. If I can't depend on them, or they make me nervous. Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable when you say it, you think, well, who doesn't feel that way? But the interesting thing is some body types, some mind types will not actually be as focused on the people. They're not that worried about what the people's character is. They're worried about what they bring to the scenario, or the data that they present, or the value that they have in a given scenario. Whereas for a Guardian, it is people focused. Like, they want to know that they can trust those around them, and essentially what I would say that trait does as well is it ensures the safety of the tribe. Like, because if you've got secretive people in the tribe, well, where's that going to lead? You know, what's going to happen if you don't understand people's intentions? Or yes. So that's an interesting one. Thank you for that. Very similar.
For me, it's the nurturing may come naturally. I mean, I might enjoy circumstances where I can nurture friends or family. I think in our environment at home and at work, we're all not very good at this word, nurturers. You like to make sure that we're looking after each other.
Good. Well, that's great. That's awesome. And the more that we can do that all around the building, the better. The only thing is honestly, out of all of you here, who feels they have self-care in balance with that? With Guardians, we talk about have then give or have then do. Do you feel like there's a balance that you care for yourself as well, or first? Who's got that now? No, Fran's like, nah, definitely not me. I knew that was coming. Nah, no. So, and this is really important because your biology, if we signal it that you're cared for, it will release energy. Because what are we saying? We're saying, oh, my body is safe, therefore the tribe must be. Like, the best indicator to a Guardian that the tribe is safe is that they take something for the self. So actually, and then you can turn up wholeheartedly for other people better. So we haven't got long, so I just want to really round this up, because this is the purpose of this chat really, is what action could all of you take as a bunch of Guardians that will help manage your stress. And let's put it another way, signal your biology that your needs are being met, right? Because your body, I guarantee it, like I'm living in Renee, one of our team members, I'm actually staying with her mum up in Golden Bay, and she's a guardian, and she was 158 kilos. She's now in the 70s. And this is because of what we do with people, but she's had to learn throughout that process. One of the things that she's learned and applied really well is I need to care for myself. The first things of the day, like, what am I going to do? 30 minutes for me. And then I can start doing what I do best and look after everybody else. But the ability to do that long term is really reliant on knowing that you're cared for and you're caring for yourself. So what could you do for yourselves, do you think, that you know feels good in the morning, in the afternoon, any time of day, really? That's going to just remind your biology that you are safe and the tribe's safe.
I go for a walk at lunchtime.
It's a good start. Really good start.
Because otherwise I just sit in front of the computer and keep working.
Yeah. And we got to draw a line around that stuff, you know, because life's too short for you to just be like not spending some time looking out for you so that you can enjoy it, you know, like so important. We've got about 10 seconds, but yeah, thanks for some good contributions, team. That's really good. Cool.
Tell you what, they all waited till the last second to come back in. Hopefully some good conversations going on there.
Yes.
I finished my last little statement perfectly as the breakout room.
Yes. Good stuff. So let's hear from Honor. Any themes that arose in your room, mate?
I think the main thing was that we were all diplomats in our room, which was awesome. So we're all speaking our own language, and that stress was definitely something that they can see how things they were doing in the past help them, such as going out on walks with friends, for example, made a big difference to just alleviating that stress management. And also how, just looking at from a mind point of view, that overthinking mind and when to recognize that overthinking mind, and Ross giving us, you know, suggestions of that double breathing. So it doesn't have to be a big, you know, 15, 20 minute or a half an hour yoga session, that it's things that we can do immediately in a short space of time. Rather than go out for a cup of tea, we're going out and doing something that's actually nurturing our stress levels before we start tasks as well.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's really good. Like snacking on recovery, like remembering that if you remember back to the early keynotes, for those of you who came, for those of you who didn't, we talk about, you know, we're very proactive with our stress creation. We're good at it. We know how to load ourselves up with responsibilities and timelines and workloads and all of this stuff. We're not so good at saying, oh, what's proactively going to be my recovery today, this week, this month, this year. Like, so, you know, and we need to do that. We live in a world where stress is a badge that people wear far too openly and far too proudly. We need to start thinking seriously about what life is really. Like, is it really about being stressful for 50 years of it? No, I don't think it is. I don't think that's a quality of life. So we need to address that balance and actually realize small changes can make us actually enjoy things a lot more, and that will create a virtuous cycle. So on that note, one of the things we want to do with this program is create a community awareness around managing each other's stress too, and making sure that we're not knocking each other out of flow and actually creating stress for one another. So the next breakout is all about comms. We want to talk about those slides that we looked at before and start to think about what formulation of communication, or how you're formulating communications in a way that is either promoting or denigrating stress. So let's see if we can have the same breakouts, please, Nathan, and we'll hear from Bex's room after the next one, if that's all right, mate.
All right,
cool.
Here we go.
So close, Honor.
Right, we back in the room.
We
and
are.
I know that you are pushed for time. So I'm going to be quick and not diplomatic slow.
Wait, before you do that, Bex, before you do that, for those of you who need to go, please go. Don't feel you've got to hang on if you've got things to do. I don't want to make you late for next meetings or knock your day out of sync. But for those who've got a minute, Bex, give us a recap on what you learned in that room or what you talked about.
Right, so we had Crusader sharing, and we had our lovely Diplomat sharing as well. And we were talking about awareness, really, and how much, you know, we can now be aware of our communication style between different people. So Kath was sharing with us that she likes things in a certain way, and she doesn't like people, you know, coming back, and she's like, well, why haven't you got it? You know, I've understood it. Why don't you understand it as quickly as I do? But now with that awareness, she knows that actually she can just ease back a little bit and not take it too much to heart if people don't understand. And then we get a nice bit more balance in communication. And the same with Angelina. She shared with us a lovely statement from her mind section about directness and rebellion and a lot of things that could potentially put you out of flow, and how she can now, you know, use that a bit more appropriately when she's communicating with people, and use it as a strength instead of something that could become a sense of frustration in communication.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah, no, great stuff. That sounds really good. So, yep, we had a bit of a conversation just around the impact that we have on each other. Like we kind of finished up on this piece, and I just want to reiterate it to the group that what we just learned about Kath there, understanding that she could be getting frustrated when she gives what she feels probably are clear, concise instructions, and then is waiting for a response, and the response is slower. Now, Kath is a Crusader. She's a Crusader among many Guardians and Diplomats, and the way the brain works is very different, and there's a definite speed difference. And the Diplomat and the Guardians will tend to consider more information and think about more possibilities and not switch off to some of the peripheral stuff. So they're probably a little bit sort of more their pace is slightly different in how they think, and they think about more detail in the moment before they start to come back. So this is why we've got to give them that time. And I have to say, Kath, I'm the world's worst for not getting why people don't get it.
Frustration.
Right? Yeah. And you're probably feeling it because you're surrounded by a lot of people who think in that different way. This is really powerful. So what I just want to remind is, like, when Kath interacts with you guys, and when you guys interact with Kath, and when you interact with each other and different people, like, this is the difference between someone's day going well and someone's day going badly. Think back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the connection and belonging piece. A bad piece of comms is disconnection. It's not simply, in Kath's case, it could be disconnection, feeling like, oh, I don't fit in here, potentially. And it could, and it's, oh, now the task is inhibited. Purpose, drive, achievement, top of the list. Then for a Diplo, it could be, I don't feel happy in this place because I've become stressed in this place as a result of the people within it because of a bad bit of communication. And that's now knocking my connection. All of a sudden, I'm moving down Maslow's pyramid again and having to rebuild to feel safe. If I don't feel safe, I'm not going to be as effective and not going to move towards that esteem and transcendent space as easily. So it's a big picture here, people. It's not simply, oh, I had a bad chat with someone and that was the end of it. These bad chats, they're butterfly effects waiting to happen. And some people manage them really well. Some people are just stronger and they're in a really solid place right now and they're good. But you're all quite stressed. There's a lot of stress there, as we know. So the chances are that your management of these things is not as good as it could be. That's the reality. So
there was something else, Chris, that was just really important, is that Angelina was saying that sometimes she's feeling like she dips her toes into the sensor side of things. And that, you know, looking at the generalized picture of the Diplomat doesn't quite sit sometimes. And then we talked about how important it is to actually look in your personalized profile to find out more information, because it is a bigger picture than just the health types. So that's okay to feel like that as well. And to make sure, we get all our information in the app that is personalized to us.
Yeah, totally. Yep, definitely. But yeah, so remember, like, Shay is your guide to how your brain works. The health types are a really good starting place to kind of lay some foundations, and then it's about you and working with your coaches and understanding a little bit more granularly what makes your brain, body, and life tick, if you will. So, but as you learn that stuff, look at how it is relational to others. This is the powerful piece within this program, is that we need, like, if we can work towards positively influencing each other, then it becomes a seriously powerful thing, because the care and connection is a de-stressor in its own right. So just bear that in mind. And like a lot of you said, you do that anyway. Like Fran, I think, and Cindy's room said, and Joanne there as well in the background. You said, like, you feel like there's an element of that that's going on. So let's keep working on that and make it more and more aware, and bring in those that perhaps don't do that as naturally, because there are those out there who don't do that as naturally. So it's good stuff. Right, thanks so much for your time today, team. If my team could stay on, that'd be fantastic. But everybody else, please get back to your working day, and we really appreciate you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thanks, team.
Have a good
See you
day.
in the new year.
Cheers. Bye.